Happy holidays. I'm Shawn Murnin, the radio broadcaster for the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. And you can kind of see behind me, we've put the blankets on the field. It's getting a little cold out here. We've got the layers on, but our guest, Steven Zobac, who pitched for the Naturals this year and has been all over the place over the last couple of months, is joining us from apparently the Golden Gate Bridge behind him. What's up, Steven?
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing? I mean, you had a great 2024 season, and everything seemed to go really well to the point that you won the Paul Splitorff Award as the recognized as maybe the best pitcher in the minor league system for the Royals this year. What's all of this been like for you, having the accolades and having the great season you did?
Honestly, I mean, I've been pitching for truly pitching for about 3 years now. Two of those being my pro career. So to have this award is just like it was a shock at first. Obviously, as a professional athlete, as someone who's super competitive, you always think someone's doing better, and that just drives you to perform at a higher level. And the expectation is that someone is, of course, always doing better than you. So it just drives you to always try to achieve more. So to get the award and to be told that I was the best in the org for our minor league system it didn't really dawn on me until I was actually receiving the award at Kauffman Stadium. And I was like, wow, this is actually happening. So I guess to answer your question, it's still a shock to me, and it still feels like I definitely have room to grow. But I'm just super thankful to receive that award.
When and how did you find out that you were going to receive that award?
So I was in the locker room. I was getting some treatment early. I think I had a start either I wasn't that day, it was probably the next day. And Tommy came in and was like, "Hey, by the way, just got word that you received the Splitorff Pitcher of the Year award." And I was like, "Oh, I mean, okay, like, when are they going to release it?" And they're like, "Oh," and Tommy was like, "Oh, don't worry about that. Like, we'll make an announcement to the team at some point. Just you can't tell anybody, and just let this go by." And I mean, I'm talking 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks where I had to keep my mouth shut and not tell anybody. It eventually got around the team a little bit that, the awards were kind of starting to come out and stuff, but it was hard. I wanted to tell my grandma, my grandpa, I wanted to tell people back in Iowa where I have like a little bit of family and stuff, but I had to keep my mouth shut when it comes to all that. So it was very, very almost under the table esque when I got told first. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about two, three, four, maybe even five starts, depending on where your day falls. If you're on a Tuesday in one of those weeks, you're going to pitch twice that week.
Yeah.
What was that like for you taking the mound, having this this big secret, this big personal achievement that's related to what you're about to do? What was that like going out and starting those games?
Yeah. It was honestly, I know for a lot of people, they receive that, and it's kind of a lot of pressure put onto them. But for me, it was, you go out there and you have the confidence that you just received this award. You have the confidence that you're going to go out there and perform because you've done it so many times prior to receiving that or getting told that you were going to receive it. So I guess the pressure aspect was there a little bit. Obviously you want to perform and have that expectation to perform, but it was more of a confidence boost than anything.
I mean, that's great. And obviously, it carried you through a lot of great starts. I think back, I always talk about it, probably sick of it now, but, in Amarillo, you made that start. You had the second most strikeouts in team history. And it was, I mean, I'm still going through the numbers, but it's got to be up there as one of the most efficient pitching performances in team history.
Yeah.
You and I got to talk the next day, but I mean, just for the people that didn't get to listen to that, coming off of that start, that's one of the best in your career. What can you take us through what that was like the next day, waking up and realizing, like, I mean, man, I really did that.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to feel that personally, but just having the teammates that we had and the group of guys that we had, they were all pulling for me. I came into the dugout after my start. I had every single guy come up to me and say, "Hey, good job." Like it was different. A lot of people think, minor league baseball, you're trying to go through the ranks and you're competing against these guys for spots in the big leagues. But to have all of those guys be supportive and go, "Dude, you had a phenomenal outing." It felt so much better than just me going and calling my mom and being like, "Hey, I had a great outing," all that stuff. So it was really cool to have that. Waking up the next day, it was, you had a lot more pep in your step going to the field for sure.
Yeah, well, we won't tell mom that the teammates, boosting you up was a bit bigger there. We'll keep that, we'll keep that between us and whoever else watches this. But
Yeah.
I mean, as much as we would love to just talk about 2024 and how great the entire season was for you, we're in the off season now. We've been here for a couple of months. I know you went down to Arizona for a little while to work on stuff, but the big thing for you this off season, you made a trip to the Dominican with Royals player development. Tell us a little bit about that. What was that experience like for you to be in a completely different country, representing the team?
Yeah, it wasn't so the first time I've ever been out of the country was actually in China. We did like a little trip. I was super young. I think I was a freshman, maybe going into my sophomore year of high school. And I had people holding my hand the whole time, just this is what you got to do. This is this. Give me your passport. We're going to figure this all out for you. So to go out of the country as an adult was, very nerve wracking. It was like, man, I got to make sure I have everything, copies of everything, all that stuff. And I realized that if you're a baseball player down in the Dominican Republic, especially with the Royals, being in Las Terrenas and stuff, like we have so much, respect down there. There's a lot of people coming up to us, especially when we were doing the kids camps and everything, where they saw us as, really, really good professional athletes, which we are, but just a different level, So it was really cool to experience that. It was also really cool experiencing the culture differences and stuff and realizing how much we take for granted in the United States about even just running water, clean running water. They didn't have that down there. We got put up in a really nice hotel and stuff, but to experience just going out, Las Terrenas, going to Santo Domingo, just walking around the city and stuff, you realize how different things are. So it was good to experience that. We got to go to an orphanage. We got to go to a little, I don't know what they called it. I think it was like a boys only like group, after school group kind of thing. We got to experience that and talk with them and see them, and their social skills at being 12 years old are just insane. So different. They don't have phones, they don't have stuff that we have, and they get to talk and get to communicate with people, and they were so ready to play any kind of game. Like we were brought out the Patia and they were the first to be there. They were no hesitation for sure. So it was good.
You mentioned going to Santo Domingo. That is one of the hotbeds down there for not just professional baseball players, but major leaguers. What
Mm-hmm.
did you see from the kids down there that maybe was eye popping to you about how they play the game or maybe the talent that they have?
Yeah, it's very loose level of baseball. Like being here and working through travel ball, high school, college, everything is structured, very much structured. And it has some importance to have that, but to also implement the part of the game that's very loose and fun and all that stuff is really important too. And they go all the way with that. They when we bring out the Batia, we were struggling to even hit the little discs and stuff, but they were out there, they wanted to play for 5, 6 hours straight. They didn't care. They wanted to just play. So I think that was pretty cool to see that, and it also brings me another perspective of the Latin American players and teammates I have here. Just very loose, very ready to play. They'll just stay out there for 10 hours, 11 hours a day if they wanted to. So pretty cool.
It definitely sounds like the experience is something you're going to take with you, moving forward into your pro career and
Oh,
talking about moving forward. I mean, you know, the new year is not that far off. We're going to be in
yeah.
2025, which means that you guys will start to ramp back up and spring training will get going. What are you eyeing up as far as areas you can improve on or different things that you want to add or try going into next year?
hmm I think everyone, unless you're 20-year, 15 to 20-year big leaguer, you can always work on your routine. Always kind of try to get a grasp on what you need to do, keep your body healthy throughout the year. You have ebbs and flows with everything, your performance, your mentals, physicality, all that stuff. So to kind of iron in what I know works for me is going to be really important for this next year. I also think too, working on just pitch selection throughout the game. Obviously it's great when you're getting 12 strikeouts in Amarillo, but there's definitely games more so than not where you struggle to have the right understanding of what you need to throw in that certain count. So having that in my tool belt going forward this next year and learning from last year is going to be really important for my success coming up.
I know Larry Carter, our pitching coach that's been here for forever, is a big proponent of the pitcher dictating how the at bat is going to go. It's not you trying to pitch, to a specific weakness on the hitter. It's more so
Mhm.
pitching to your strengths. So based off of what you said, what are some of the strengths, without giving us too much, I guess, that you're going to look towards really amplifying in 2025?
Yeah, I've always had, good fastball, good slider. I think those two things is going to always be a backbone of my pitching career. It's starting to establish a changeup, a third pitch, and then maybe even getting a fourth pitch when I start going later into my career and talking with the pitching staff here with the Royals and stuff. So it's good to have the two things that you're good at, but to implement other things and to honestly even just kind of screw around with them. It's like everyone thinks that you have a pitch and it works for you and you can't change it. But the moment you start to tweak with it, you can realize how much more effective you can be with it. You realize like that pitch doesn't work or this one does, and you start implementing that, and it's just pitching is just a chess game at the end of the day. You just got to figure out what works for you and then stick with it and then make tweaks when you need to.
I'm going to end this with something relatively easy for you here, because I realize that some of these questions have been a little bit drawn out. You got to Northwest Arkansas a little bit later in the season, but from the time that you were able to spend here, what did you like about being here as far as the ballpark, the fans, the area? I mean, nothing's off limits. What did you enjoy the most about being here in Springdale?
I liked, honestly, we lived really close to the field. So to be able to just go, drive over real quick to the field and stuff was awesome. I think the city itself was really cool. I like to experience other places, and being in Davenport was awesome. But just to have the experience of going down to Fayetteville, checking out the campus. I haven't, I went to Cal. I didn't go to an SEC school. So to have the fan base that University of Arkansas has was such a big culture shock for me. Um, so to see that was awesome. Just I like to fish. I like to hunt and stuff. And so to see all the different places I can go fish during the season and stuff was really cool. Yeah, I mean, it was just different than California for sure. I enjoyed it.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for taking some time out to get a little off-season catch-up here. There's no telling where you're going to end up for 2025, but we certainly wish you a lot of luck the rest of the off-season and going into next year.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I appreciate the call.
2025 season's just around the corner. You can get your tickets and some packs available online at nwanaturals.com. It's only April that things are going to get going, and then the Naturals will be off and running in another Texas League season out here at Arbus Ballpark.